Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the live match reaction to Brighton 1, Everton 1. Everton have just scraped probably the most undeserved point I can think of in quite some time. We have played very, very poorly and still come away without defeat, which is, in a way quite impressive, but the performance certainly wasn't impressive, let's be honest. It was a poor display. Really tepid. Brighton, to be honest, Brighton with a better team, but didn't really do a great deal themselves. They only had one win in the last 10, so it was typical of us to be so charitable and allow them to, potentially break that duck. And we very nearly let them, but we got a very, very late equaliser from Beto, 96th minute equaliser. It's great for us, but the performance certainly wasn't, and it's not the most encouraging display. We come away with another point on the board, I guess, but that's about as good as we can really say about this. We've disappointed again, by and large. I don't think, the transfer window closes either as it tonight or if failing that tomorrow night. And more should have been done. I think, to be honest, the season's sort of drifting now. I think it's we're going to coast to the end of the season. I don't think there's much to play for. Obviously, out with the FA Cup earlier this month, out of the League Cup very early doors as well, and the European push is really slowing down now. Really, Brighton should have beaten us today, who've not been playing particularly well themselves. There's other teams around us who are just offering more going forward. We just don't score enough goals. We got a very late equaliser today, but apart from that, we didn't threaten enough. We had maybe about 3, maybe 4 chances the whole game. Not really good enough, even as the away team. But the problem is we're putting in poor performances like this most of the time at home as well. So it's really difficult to watch, I'll be honest. That's probably the biggest problem. We're getting results here and there. We're avoiding defeat most of the time, but it's not good on the eye. It's and this is the thing: if you win every game 1-0, fans will probably suck up performances like this. But if you're only getting a draw, and certainly if you're losing, fans are not going to be happy with the displays you've got. If you're going to play ugly football, you sure as hell better win the game, and we didn't. We've got a few guys have joined the chat. Go straight to Gavin Cunningham first commenting. It was terrible by Moyes. We don't score because we play defensively with too many defensive players starting. Why drop Roll and Patterson? Yeah, I mean, Roll got dropped after Villa. He played very well against Villa. Didn't get any game time today and got a very minimalist sub appearance against Leeds when, again, we played poorly. Patterson has been decent enough, not amazing, but he's done well enough to keep his place, I think, instead of a square peg in a round hole, shall we say. And today absolutely screams square pegs and round holes. I wasn't looking forward to this game at all as soon as I saw the lineup. We had O'Brien right back, Branthwaite left back, Keane and Tarkowski. Is a very Walter Smith-esque back four. 4 central midfielders across the midfields, no width. Iliman Ndiaye was kind of playing off Beto, but we don't really know what the system was. Performances, some decent performances today, but some poor ones as well. I thought Iliman Ndiaye was well off it today, not at the standard that he was so used to from him. Keenan Dewsbury Hall was not on it at all. He just didn't really. He seemed quite sluggish as well, and we'll give him a bit of grace because he's been excellent in recent weeks and getting some important goals. But Tieno Barry was really poor today. He didn't make nothing stick. Maybe a bit harsh because he didn't really get a great deal of service, but it was frustrating that he didn't control the ball well when we did get it to him. Most of his passing was off. It was just really disappointing to watch. He said Tarky, Keane, Coleman, Ganna, Max Slug need to go. I think I thought Idrissa Gana Gay was actually decent today. Don't think Keenan Tarkowski did too much wrong either. It was just, I think it was more the attacking players who let us down today, and the lack of width, of course, once again was killing us today. We need wide players, fullbacks especially. The lack of dynamism in the wide areas is screwing us over so hard. Really, really disappointing. Gavin Cunningham saying pointless signing George from Chelsea. Moyes won't play him. I mean, he might play him, but the thing is, I mean, it'd be good to have another winger. I think he's a bit quicker than the wingers we currently have, which would be nice to have a bit of extra pace. But we need fullbacks. We need a left back and a right back who can bomb on and, free up our attacking players, our wingers, our centre mids, and the striker. So it's all well and good bringing in these attacking players, but I think the attacking players we've got now aren't as bad as they look. They're just not getting the service. We don't have any width to put crosses in. One cross at the end there and it leads to a goal. We weren't putting enough crosses in. As soon as Nathan Patterson come on in the 87th minute, we immediately started getting more crosses into the area and we became more of a threat. It's not rocket science. Gavin Cunningham again says, Ndiaye's a number 10, not a winger. KDH is a centre mid, not a 10. Armstrong is central, playing out wide. There you go, mate. Nail on head, square pegs in round holes, the whole game. Just really frustrating, and it can be prevented if we recruited properly. And I'm not saying that we need to go out now. I think the season's done. I think it's end of story. I don't think we're getting into Europe. A couple more points and we don't even have to worry about relegation, which, don't get me wrong, is great. But we might as well just save the money and invest properly in the summer rather than panic buying in the next 2 days. On the other hand, Ian says, mid-table, more excitement when we were fighting to stay up. I mean, let's not go too far, Ian. This is tough on the eye, and I am a bit, bored of watching us, but I'd much rather our Premier League status not be in jeopardy. And, regardless of what you think of the performances, it's good that we don't have to scrap for points just to stay in the league. Hopefully another win or two, and we don't even have to think about relegation. So it's, to be having this conversation in January when you think of where we were this time last year, that's progress at least, even if it's not exactly what we wanted. Ian said KDH should have scored. Yeah, the Dewsbury Hall, like I said, didn't have the best game. Neither did Tieno Barry, but Barry did pounce on a mistake, squared it to Dewsbury Hall, and he should have scored. He hit it straight to the goalkeeper. Really disappointing. Not long after that, Tarkowski has a header cleared off the line, and then within minutes from that, Brighton took the lead. So it was really frustrating. It was probably Brighton took the lead about 70 minutes in, but probably after the best 10-15 minute spell that we had in the whole game, which was really annoying because we were growing into the game and we kept it at 0-0 and it looked as though we could snatch a win. And it's disappointing to go behind. Once we went behind, I didn't think we'd come back into it, which is testament to the team we did. But it was only when Nathan Patterson again was brought on, a fullback who gets forward and puts a few crosses in. And he's not the best fullback in the world, but at least he's a fullback and he occasionally whips a cross in and, tries to get us on the front foot. It's better than having a square peg in a round hole. And just, it's just painful. 4 centre-backs was just criminal, let's be honest. D60 says, Moyes has his strongest and fittest team selection he has had all season, with the exception of Grealish. And he picked that team and that lineup, absolute dog shite, and he got away with one again. He did get away with one. And, fair play to him, he actually made 5 substitutes for once, which is about the one compliment I can pay David Moyes. But Nathan Patterson coming on that late probably stopped us potentially from getting more out of the game. Should have been getting more service into the box. I said Tieno Barry played poorly, and he probably did. Could have done better, but the service was minimal. Just wasn't good enough. And finally, we start getting a bit of service into the box after Patterson comes on, and lo and behold, we get a chance and we get a goal. Can't live in Mars. The lineup was a joke. Let's be honest. I'm waiting till the 80th minute for the change was amateur. Yeah. Anyway, until we were getting beaten. It's standard David Moyes, isn't it? It's frustrating because the lack of urgency sometimes does us in. A bit more ambition today and we win this game, I think. And that's where David Moyes, that's the crux, I think, with David Moyes. He doesn't have the guts to push for a win when we probably should sometimes. And that'll cost us points. It's cost us, I think we could have won this game today. Could have beaten Leeds definitely last week. Could have beaten Wolves. That's 6 points dropped. You take that out. You add those 6 points onto the board now and we're in the top 4. That's the difference. We're not getting into Europe this season. End of story. The season is effectively over. There's no real point, I don't think, now investing in more players. I think we just slog this season out until the end and, aim for better next season. Now, I don't see how we can possibly get into Europe with the components we've got and the management that we've got. I don't think Moyes has got the mentality to push us into Europe. And I don't think we've got the resources for it either. D60 also says, give him all the money and players in the world and he would still make irrational choices. Again, proves it. Thank him for steadying the ship and moving on for a new, younger and hungrier man. Interesting. And we've got plenty of people tuning in. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. By the way, we've already got nearly 700 viewers this evening. So thanks for tuning in. And anyone who's tuning in, I'd be interested to get your opinion. Is David Moyes acting like a manager who maybe knows he's getting a handshake at the end of the season, a thank you and goodbye maybe? It wouldn't come as a surprise given that the Friedkin group were never scared to pull the trigger and make changes to the manager role at Roma. So, do you think Moyes is acting like a manager whose days and he thinks his days are numbered? Maybe that he knows he might be getting let go at the end of the season regardless. He has only got 1 year on his contract come the end of the season. So, it'll be interesting to see if anyone who's tuning in there, what you think about that potential scenario. Maybe he knows he's on his way. Is that what you guys think? Just let us know in the comments. But yeah, Steve Jones says, credit to Beto, he got a lot of stick, but he proves us wrong and saved us. Yeah, I thought he did more than Barry did today, but again, I think that might have been more to do with the fact that he came on along with Patterson and we had a bit more of a proper shape when he came on. I think Barry was feeding off scraps. Steve Jones says Patterson was putting more crosses in, but he still isn't good enough. He still isn't good enough, but at least he's a right back, mate. At the end of the day, it's better than having O'Brien stifled a fullback when he's a centre-half. Yeah, Steve Jones again. Moyes got the lineup wrong. 4 centre-backs was all wrong, of course it is. D60 again. If he plays his strongest 11 and Shave, I can live with playing poor or even losing, but when he does stupid shit like this today, it has me fuming. Yeah, as soon as I saw the lineup today, I was like, even if we get a result, I'm not looking forward to watching this, and so it proved. He was so poor. Gavin Cunningham in again. I watched the good side. They mainly have 3 big defensive players, 2 centre-backs and DMs. All the rest are short, nippy, energetic players. Moyes set up today like we were playing the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, I mean, he's a very defeatist manager sometimes, and it rubs off on the players and the fans, I think. I think it's just, it can drain you a little bit sometimes, and it's disappointing because I think the season is there for the taking, but we're not going to be the ones to take it. We're not going to push hard enough, I don't think, for Europe this season. And it makes you wonder, do we just save the money for next season? And whether it's Moyes or a different manager in charge next summer, but do we just save the money and invest next season? Maybe give this recruitment team, this fabled recruitment team, a bit more time to get their head together and maybe put a proper plan in place, because there was certainly no plan in place last summer. It was a real letdown of a transfer window, and obviously this January transfer window has proven to be not much better. We haven't done any business yet, in or out, so such a shame. Gavin Cunningham says, if we are safe and Moyes is not setting us up to make Europe, just get rid of him now and go in a completely different direction. I think get to the end of the season, I reckon, and PSR, I think we'll be in a much better position next summer, but I think we need to be ready to make smarter recruitment decisions, whether that's with or without David Moyes, and we need to start putting the building blocks in place for that now, for the summer. Some of the most well-run clubs have deals done before the season's even finished, ready for next season. We need to start being more proactive like that. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, Ian's right in the sense that he said, "True, we could have, should have won, but it is an away point." It's an away point, but we've been a decent away side. We've been getting more wins away than at home recently, and it doesn't fill me with much hope because we've got how poor we play at home and how much we're struggling to get results at home. At this point, we're looking to away games to actually get the wins to compensate for that, and so it's really difficult. In the blue corner says, awful game. Lucky Beto realised it was his birthday and scored. If it actually is happy birthday, Beto. Roll should have started for Ghana. I'll make a point in my episode later. Dropped too many points. You're right about that. Onwards and upwards. Yeah, I mean, it's good that we ended on a high, got the last minute equalised, and people go home feeling a bit more positive because I'll be honest, until that stage, there was literally nothing positive to take away from this game. In the blue corner also believes Moyes will be our manager next season. If so, he needs to pull his socks up. I think I'm a big supporter of David Moyes. I know he's got his drawbacks, but I think he does a lot right as well. But there needs to be more joined up thinking. There needs to be a right back in the door. If it's not in the next 2 days, it needs to be needs to be the priority position in the summer. We need the left back as well, better than Mikalenko, and need dynamic wingers as well. And I think beyond that, the squad has got the capability, but we need the best players here need to start having more support from new recruits who are of a decent standard. Some of these players aren't good enough, let's be honest. Pixel Panther saying Moyes took West Ham from relegation to European champions with 8th, and the table is so tight. The table is tight, but we're not playing like it is. We're not playing to win. We should be like doing everything we can to try and like pick results up. I think this game is here for the taking. The season is, as you've just said, Pixel Panther, they nailed it when you said the table is so tight. The season is there for the taking, but we need to grasp it. And we're not playing like a team that wants to grasp it. It doesn't look like we want to qualify for Europe, given the performances recently. Gavin Cunningham makes the point that the Freaking Group did sack a Roman legend within weeks. Daniel De Rossi, he wasn't doing particularly well, so Moyes isn't doing as badly as he was, I don't think, but it's still disappointing, really. I think the season promised a lot, and it's going to deliver very little, let's be honest. Nat says we have a team capable of Conference League football, definitely. I think our main problem right now is struggling to win at home, and if we want to be in Europe, we need to solve that. Bang on the money. I think we need more. We need to be more ambitious at home. I think we need to have more urgency. I think that's the lack of urgency in both home and away is going to cost us. In the blue corner says Moyes needs a couple of seasons at least, needs a constant 11. John Peter McKinley got to stop playing Gay. He is dire. I don't think Idris Gay wasn't too bad today. I think there was much worse performance than him, namely the front three. Dewsbury, Barry and Ndiaye were all well off the pace today, I thought. United lad, are you a lot frustrated with Moyes? But he sets yourself in a way you compete every game. Your team isn't good enough to go out there. I think we don't expect beautiful attacking football exactly. I think it's more we just need a team with a bit more will to win and a bit more attacking intent. It doesn't have to be tricks and flicks, and we know we haven't got the prettiest players in this league, but it doesn't mean that we can't be a bit braver with our passing, be a bit more cohesive with our passing, and set up with a system that gets the best out of our best players, because we haven't got a lot of great players, but let's get the best out of what we do have. Can't live in Mars. There's no coach available to take over Moyes. I want Julian Nagelsmann. I'm not sure where I think he's managing Germany at the moment, but I'm not sure. He's never managed in the Prem before, so I mean, he's a bit of an unknown quantity. He's done well in other places. You never know, but I'm not for 1 second, by the way, saying I want Moyes sacked. My question was more, does Moyes look a bit like he looks a bit like he can't be bothered at the moment? He seems a bit passive. We haven't been playing recently like a David Moyes team. The graft hasn't been there. I don't feel like we've been aggressive enough. I don't know if that's a reflection of him knowing he's going. It's hard. It's hard to tell really, but I just feel like we haven't been fulfilling our potential. Certainly the last month or so, we've had a few injuries, but even since the players have started coming back, I feel like we could be doing so much better.
Um, yeah, there's a lot. D60 says now he's safe. Moyes should be playing how he wants to play next season, regardless of results. But he's obsessed with picking up shit points. Start implementing next year's plan now, whilst we are safe. Bang on the money. Let's go for it. Even if we don't get Europe, let's just play to win. That's what Everton fans want. We want to see winning football. It doesn't matter if it's easy on the eye or not. I was saying before, Everton fans will happily watch crap football if we win the game. Just go out to win. It doesn't matter if we make it a bit ugly, but just as long as we get the 3 points at the end of the game. He says we can't set up aggressively with the squad. We don't have a scorer. That's why our home games suck. I mean, I think Barry's been scoring. Beto got a goal today. I don't think they're amazing finishes, but I still think they're better than what they're showing because they're not getting the service. If we had overlapping fullbacks who could help our creative wingers and our midfielders, we could actually get these strikers, as poor as they may be, they might get a bit more service. I mean, look at Calvert-Lewin, like he's getting more goals for Leeds than he was for us, and Leeds aren't amazing, but they whip a few crosses in the box, and they've got fullbacks who cross the halfway line. It makes a massive difference. Nat says squad depth should also be a priority in the future, since this season reminded us with injuries the game's brutal. Yeah, I think there's only Grealish missing, but there's a lot of people in the squad who I think are still only half fit. Brant Waite, Dewsbury Hall, all just recovering. Alcaraz only came back today as well. We need a deeper squad, and if I don't believe we'll get into Europe this season, but if we do, we'll definitely have to be bringing in more players because Europe will kill us next season if we do. Steve Jones asked where was Asnu today. I'd love to know the answer to that as well. He had that cameo against Sunderland in the Cup and looked pretty lively, but we haven't seen him since. And I always thought, like, in the Leeds game when Moyes switched to the 3 at the back, that might help Asnu fit into the system here. Obviously, he's still very young and raw, but we've got to start giving these players minutes because they could be the future. And, like, even Diblin, I'm not Diblin's biggest fan, but he needs more time on the pitch if he's going to develop. I'm feeling that, like, we've just spent, if the only other option is to loan him out, do we really want to loan out somebody that we've spent 40 million on? It's like I say, I thought we had a very poor transfer window last summer, and it set us up for a season that's flattered to deceive at times. I think we're whereabouts we should have been. I predicted at the start of the season we finish 11th. I reckon that's probably whereabouts we'll finish. But I think the disappointment for us as supporters is that, as I think Pixel Panther said earlier in the stream, that the table is so tight and the European places are there for the taking. We need to grasp it with more. We need to take the initiative more and need to be a bit braver. And that's my concern with David Moyes. But the only flaw I think with David Moyes is that has he got the guts to play to win when he defaults normally to play for the point. And I think that's like what we need to see now is more ambition from both him and the players on the field. There needs to be more bravery, more forward thinking play. But again, the fullback situation could still stifle us for the rest of this season. And that's a big disappointment because it was a glaringly obvious situation. Certainly the right back side, it should have been taken care of last summer and it wasn't. And that's why we are where we are. I think we'd be much higher in the table if we'd have signed the right back in the summer. That's so disappointing. D16, nail on the head. Service is a big problem. Not hard to see. First 55 minutes, 0 shots, 0 chances created. Yeah, the midfielders were off today, I thought. Like I say, Ndiaye and Dewsbury all weren't at their best today. But then they need a foil sometimes. It's all on them at times because the fullbacks won't overlap, won't help out. So if the defenders of all these teams are just doubling up on our best players, and that's nullifying us, we need fullbacks who can give these defenders something else to think about when we play against them. And in that sense, it frees up our creative players, or the fullbacks themselves can create the chances. And whether it's Barry or Beto or even a striker, certainly a striker of better quality, but even those two will get more goals if we give them better service. Tom Blues says David Moyes has confirmed that he hopes to sign one player before Monday. That's courtesy of TalkSport, which again, make it out of what you will, because TalkSport aren't always the most reliable, but it would be nice to get someone in. It'd be nice. I think if Moyes wants to bring in more players, then I'd be happy to see that, because it tells me that Moyes hasn't given up the ghost on Europe, but given the last couple of performances, it's kind of deflated me a bit. I feel like it's kind of out of our reach now. Ian says, can't do it all in one window. Absolutely not. But I still think we could have done better last window. I'd have happily foregone signing Tyler Diblin if it meant signing a right back. It would have made a massive difference to where we are on the table right now. I can be very sure of that. Yeah, Ian says, KDH, Grealish, Alcaraz, Dibbling and Roll. I think we did okay. We did okay, but we missed out on a crucial component in the right back. And I think had we done that, it would have made a big difference. I think you just seen Barry with more goals, even Beto with more goals. Were it not for the ponderous nature of our attacking play. D60 says, again, do the board want to spend this window if there are signs he won't be here next season? Only time will tell. I think he'll be a loan if we bring somebody in the next day or two before the window closes. I don't think we'll spend money on a permanent signing, and I wouldn't want to sanction that, to be honest. But if we can get a loan player in, then let's absolutely go for it. If it does give us a fighting chance of potentially getting into Europe, let's do it, because that's all we've got left to play for now. But let's try and be as ambitious as we can. And as Pixel Panther said earlier on in the stream, the table is tight. The season's there for the taking in the league. If we want to qualify for Europe, we can, if we show a bit of ambition, both in the window in the next couple of days, and then both Moyes and the players want to play with more will to win. The possibilities are there, and we might still fall short, but let's have a right good go of it, and give it everything we've got. There's nothing else to play for without the cups. Let's do what we can to try and get something out of this season. It would be really nice to show some real tangible progress in Moyes' first full season back. Hopefully it's not his last. I would like to see him stick around, but let's see what happens. We'll leave it at that anyway, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let us know your opinions after we're finished as well. Drop the comments. Give this video a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in on the Toffee Blues.